think over the next 5 or 10 years, our struggle potentially is being able to maintain careers for artists. I think we have a culture now which is very disposable, where people are interested in a track, but they're not so interested in the artist as an artist. They're interested maybe in them as a celebrity, and they don't aspire to getting as involved in buying everything that they do. You know, one track is one thing, but people may not buy the album. And when you don't sign up to the concept of the artist as a whole, that becomes more difficult to give them a long career, because it's a bumpy road, up and down and up and down. Whereas in the ideal world, we'd be looking, there may be some small bumps, but hopefully they're all upward. They're all, you know, it's an upward trajectory. So I think we have to figure out smart ways of keeping acts relevant. We have to focus on, ultimately this is about the music, and we have to make real quality music. You know, artists shouldn't maybe be under so much pressure to produce things so quickly, but when they do produce something, it's a masterpiece.
How come artists don't have that long career anymore? How come? Is it because of the way people consume now more everything? It's more throwaway society, or is it something else? Is the quality of the music maybe less?
I think there's still some amazing music out there. I really do. You know, we rely on the various media outlets to get music to people so that they can hear it. I think you know, tastes change. We have now, you know, a lot of stores, fashion is, you know, fashion used to have 2 seasons, or, you know, you used to have autumn and fall, and now there's cruise collection and pre-fall and pre-summer, and everybody's used to consuming a lot very quickly. And I think the same comes in anything, actually, in music, in personalities. People get bored very fast. So that's potentially problematic. It's not going to be a disaster. There are going to be acts, musicians, singers, whoever, who have such a charismatic personality and are so talented that they can keep going and carry on through the years, no problem at all. And I suppose when you look back, we hark back to better days, better days, better days. They were no better. They were slightly different maybe. But we're not in a business which is one in, one out. So we're adding to the pool a lot of the time. You know, Bob Dylan and Neil Young and Paul Simon and U2 and acts that have been around a long time, some longer than others, are still very relevant.
Yeah, but it seems like those older acts, they do world tours, but they, except maybe from Coldplay, but there hasn't been someone who's stepping into that league the last 5 or 10 years.
Well, I think you could, Muse have come through, they've done really well.
But they're also an act from the 90s.
Yeah. Kings of Leon and the Killers have done
the
very
Killers
well.
Are now.
I mean, it depends. You know, it depends where you're at. I think it's true that the real huge acts. You're right. Coldplay have done exceedingly well. You know, an artist like Eminem has shown real longevity. I think you can't underestimate how long it takes to get to that point. I mean, Coldplay have been around a long time. Even Coldplay, who were used as the poster boys of being new and exciting. You know, an act like The Prodigy have actually been around a long time. They still have very solid business. You know, I think there are artists like Bruno Mars, who's a really, you know, he's 2 albums in. He already does incredible business globally. You know, at that point, some of these other acts weren't that big. So we have to give artists time to develop, time to breathe, time to learn their craft.
So that's the main focus. Give them time to breathe. Other things that we need to do to expand their careers?
I think you don't want to overplay. I think there's a temptation, because you don't make as much money maybe on album sales, that people need to make more money touring, and to do that you maybe play more shows, and ultimately there's a limited amount of people that go to gigs, and they have a limited amount of money in their pocket to spend on a luxury item. A ticket is a luxury item. So we need to be smart as to how often we tour these artists. The upside, though, is that obviously there are so many new markets opening up all the time, so we can play more places, and that means that you can give a little bit of a rest to somewhere you may have played too many times. I think that's good and exciting for artists. And I have acts that, you know, in the last few years, they've been around 20 years, but in the last few years they've gone to places they've never been to before and have loved it. Culturally, they've loved going somewhere new. Audiences are excitable. You know, Eastern Europe, South America. I mean, there's so many places. You know, we're relying on venues being built in a lot of these places, but in a lot of, you know, the Eastern European cities, you've got some amazing arenas being built. So I think that bodes well for the future. You know, Southeast Asia, I think it can get stronger. Yeah. Again, one of the problems with those places is they don't have as many venues as would be ideal. And you see, you know, London obviously is a little bubble on its own. It's a very multicultural, you know, major city. But the O2 Arena in London does incredible business. You know, it wins the, you know, biggest venue in the world awards or whatever these things are all the time because people love going there. And I think if you give the public a venue that they like going to, where they can get a meal, where they're going to be undercover, then we can actually keep building the business.
So, recapturing you saying give the artist time to breathe, not overplay. Another thing? Or is it just the two main focuses?
I think those are two main focuses. You know, I think, yeah, presenting a show that's exciting and innovative doesn't necessarily have to cost a fortune. You know, people are used now to very high production standards. And to a certain extent, we have to be careful that you don't end up with a production that's so expensive that even at the highest level you make very little money. Yeah. I think surrounding yourself with smart production people that can do something really clever that maybe it doesn't cost an absolute arm and a leg is a great thing. You know, I look at Radiohead, you know, and the show that they put on time and time again is spectacular. But if you actually instill it down to its essence, it's very simple, but it's very, very smart. Yeah. And if you can be clever, then I think that's a really good thing. You know, and I think being sympathetic and communicative with your audience as well, understanding who your audience are, giving them what they want, that's important.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
We have four.
Yeah.
Four reasons. One more question. The tip. What is your musical tip for this year?
My musical tip, the 2014 musical tip, because I saw him yesterday, Hosier, who played last night, actually played Wednesday night as well, I think is magnificent. He's an incredible singer, he's an incredible artist, he's a lovely, lovely guy, got a great band around him, amazing songs. He's got something special. You know, when you walk in a room and everybody's listening, nobody's chatting. Doesn't happen very often. So particularly as it's a Eurosonic-centric artist, he's going to do very well. I think there's a fair few acts that are looking really exciting for this year, but Hosier is very special.
If people don't know the music, how would you describe it?
Oh, it's Van Morrison meets Jeff Buckley meets B.B. King meets Led Zeppelin. He plays guitar. He's musically exciting. He's got plenty of songs about death and depression. And it touches you. It touches you in a way that makes you think about what he's singing about.
Thank you.
Pleasure.